Of course it's with the kids because that's who I'm around all the time. When they're like this, you need to be like this. Not that it's bad pressure, it just can be hard sometimes to not feel lonely. Saying that little mom, like, cause you know, like that's my name. It sounds so silly, but that does not mean we cannot be kind and loving and supportive of other women who are going through the exact same thing as we are. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany if you're new here, so welcome. I do motherhood and lifestyle videos here on my channel, so make sure you do consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. I know I haven't done a mom talk video in a long time, and so I asked you guys a bunch of questions on my Instagram, or I asked you to ask me questions on my Instagram, and today we are going to be talking about some motherhood related questions or just some questions in general. So if you're wanting to know what I do to self-care or how to take care of myself as a mom, or talking about mom shame, I'm going to be addressing those topics in this video. So make sure you guys do watch to the end, because I have some really good tips and insight that you're going to hopefully need once you become a mom, or if you are a mom, that are helpful to you. So yeah, let's just get started into the questions. Okay, you guys honestly ask me great questions every single time, so I couldn't come up with these on my own, to be honest with you, but these are great. And the first question is, what do you do when it's all too much, when the children are going nuts? So if you guys don't know, I have a daughter, she is 4, and I have a son who's almost 18 months. He'll be 18 months in about a week or two here. And so my kids get really noisy, and unfortunately you cannot control the noise. It just happens. That's how children are. And it's great. Just let them be kids. But also sometimes it does get to be a little bit much when they're loud or they're crazy, and I need a moment to take a breath. And so basically what I do in those situations when I'm feeling like a little bit overwhelmed with the noise or just everything in general, I'll just step outside or to another room for maybe like 5 minutes, or I'll go to the bathroom and just take like 2 seconds to like just take some deep breaths and try not to get overwhelmed. Because I know for myself in the past, there's been moments, and there still are moments, where I'm like, this is a little too much. I need to regroup and just kind of take a moment to myself. So I'll lock myself in the bathroom, take a cookie with me or something, and just take about like a few minutes. Make sure the kids are okay, obviously. You know, even just put a show on for them and just sit for a few minutes so that you can regroup yourself, because if mommy's not doing good, the kids aren't doing good. And so you want to make sure that you're doing well, even when those moments are a little crazy. So one thing is really good, take deep breaths and then just step away a little bit to kind of regroup yourself to maybe not feel so overwhelmed. How do you get stuff done with a baby? Baby cries when I walk away. So I think that, of course, through motherhood, you have different stages. And when I had a little one who wanted to be with me all the time, and you know, really attached to you, I found a baby wrap or a baby carrier is great. It can be your friend. And one thing I didn't do as often as I did with Brielle as I did with Kellen was baby wear him. I would use the carrier often when he was feeling fussy or just wanted to be with me. Then I could get some chores done. I could get things done around the house, and it was great because I had my hands free to do things. I know sometimes it's hard to focus when you have a fussy baby, but I think for me, one thing I know is that my babies do come first and work comes second. So with that, I find time to get work done when my baby is sleeping or my babies are taking a nap. And so that's what I kind of do to help myself work through that, of like that push and pull of work and being a mom. So I highly recommend taking advantage of those nap times, but if you're not able to and your baby's teething or just not doing well, I highly recommend using a baby carrier. It can definitely be your friend. What do you do when you find yourself in a rut? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I find myself in a rut often. If you guys haven't been listening to my podcast episodes, I've been kind of sharing a little bit what's been on my heart lately about how I've been feeling, and just like letting my thoughts kind of spiral when I know they shouldn't. And some things that I do when that happens is I fuel myself. And things that fuel me are reading my Bible, listening to podcasts, reading books that are encouraging and kind of portray to what I'm going through. And so when I fuel myself, I'm giving myself, I'm filling myself up with good information that's encouraging to me, gives me new perspective. because I find sometimes, I know for me, I just get in my head a lot of the time, and it's really hard to break that negative thought like spiraling. And so those are things that I do to help myself get out of a rut, because it happens often. I get really tired and I get kind of burnt out sometimes, and so I totally am with you. Those are just some things that I do to help myself. How to balance self-care and being a mom and wife. Wow, this is a really good question, because I'm still figuring this one out. I have not arrived with this, and I think there isn't a perfect balance, just because motherhood and taking care of yourself is hard. But one thing that I have learned now that having 2 kids, being a mom for over 4 years now, I've realized that taking care of yourself first is gonna make you a better mom, and not sacrificing yourself to take care of your kids is so important, because how can you pour from an empty cup, right? You need to fill yourself up with things that you feel like you're being fulfilled with and you're being taken care of, so that you can pour yourself into your children and be the best mom that you can be. So that's kind of how I balance those things. I find things that I really enjoy that kind of give me like soul rest, which is gardening, working on a dollhouse, which is just sitting over there. That's something that I really love, enjoy doing. And I find that it just kind of gives me that soul rest. It may not be taking a nap, but that's also a really good thing to do if you're not feeling well or you're feeling really run down. Is finding time to have extra sleep is great. Self-care can definitely go beyond just taking a bath and doing your nails, but those things are great too. And feeling good, and those things really, really help. Kind of going into that question is, how do you make sure you pamper yourself, and when do you make time for yourself? Sometimes even just making time for myself is making myself a coffee in the morning. I know it sounds super basic, but it's something that I really enjoy, and it's something that I do for me, right? Because I'm not gonna make a coffee for my kids, obviously. I'm gonna make a coffee for me, and I make sure that it's the way I like and the taste that I like, and kind of fills me up a little bit. Obviously, it gives me a little boost of energy too. But making time for me, even when my kids are awake, is important. But a lot of the time, I will pamper myself when my kids are not around, or if they're sleeping. That's when I'll kind of do my nails. I love having my nails done, but like, guys, sometimes I just don't. I have like my kind of working hands going right now, because I've been working on this dollhouse, and so my hands are like kind of gross right now. But basically I will do that when my kids are sleeping. Maybe buy that really nice lotion that you're really wanting. That can be a form of self-care for you too. And it doesn't always have to be like big things, but can just be little things here and there to make you kind of treat yourself or make yourself feel full. How do you deal with tantrums? My son is 1 month younger than Kellen, and tantrums are difficult. So Brielle really never had tantrums. I know, it's really crazy. She only had like a few when she was around Kellen's age. And so with Kellen, he's been having tantrums since he's been about 1. And so it's been a kind of a new challenge for us that we've been having to navigate, which, I mean, most kids have tantrums, right? They're trying to express their emotion and they don't really know how. And so that's what happens. But for us, one thing that I've been doing recently that really works for Kellen, I know every kid is different, but one thing that I've been doing is that when he kind of starts to like escalate and get into like that tantrum mode, is I'll actually just take him by the face really gently. I'll just put my hands on his face and be like, Kellen, it's okay. You don't need to, like, I don't know, I just kind of say like, you don't need to get angry. Mommy's here. I'm here with you. You can say please, you can say no thank you. Or I kind of just like have this really calm like voice, and I kind of tell him like, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine. And he usually will like, like de-escalate from the tantrum. That's been really working well for us recently. But I'm finding like your kid needs you to be emotionally level. When they're like this, you need to be like this. And so I find just being really calm and gentle with them really works best when they're having a tantrum. And also sometimes just letting them go through that emotional tunnel is really good, because it kind of lets them get that emotion out, but also to be like, hey, I'm here when you're ready to like talk about it or to sit down. And I find that really talking to them is really great for them to understand, like, I don't need to have a tantrum to communicate, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's just been what has been working for us. Of course, you may have different parenting methods, and that's great. But yeah, just sharing a little bit of what we've been doing lately with Kellen. What's one moment being a mom that has made you feel really special? Something that Kellen's been doing recently that has been really, really sweet is, I think I mentioned this in my last video, but he's been like patting my leg. He'll like pat me and then point to what he wants to talk about, like his own little baby language. But now, like just crazy, but like 2 days after I filmed that video, he started saying mom. He's like, mom, look there, mom, look at this. And it's just like him saying that little mom, like, cause you know, like that's my name. It sounds so silly, but like it is so sweet and it just like makes me feel really special. I think another thing too is that every night when I say goodnight to Brielle, she'll yell from her bed that I'm her best friend. She's like, you're my best friend. And I'm like, no, I'm your best friend. And we kind of like have this little like play fight of like who's each other's best friend and like who's the bestest friend. And it's just so cute. Those moments are just so sweet to me. And even though motherhood is hard, like those are the things that like I really, really love about being a mom. It's like, I don't even know how to describe how I'm feeling, but like if you're a mom, you understand. It just makes your heart burst. How do you handle the insecurity when your toddler isn't doing what he's supposed to do at his age? One thing that I really try to remember when having kids is not to compare. If your doctor is saying that your child is doing fine and they are developmentally on track and they're doing well, try not to compare. Every kid is so different and every kid goes through different stages, sometimes at different times. But if your doctor is saying that they're doing well and they're hitting those milestones when they should, maybe it's a little bit later or a little sooner, that's okay. Not every single baby is exactly the same. Sleep deprivation is hard and I have only one child. How do you cope with that with 2 kids? Oh man, to be honest with you, I have been dealing with this so much recently. Even with my kids sleeping through the night, I am still so exhausted. I feel like just because it's been a transition for my husband going back to work after being home because of COVID and all that stuff, but I've just felt so exhausted now that the kids are in this new stage where Kellen is running everywhere and getting into trouble, and you know, Brielle's still amazing, but she's super busy, and you know, like even through that I've just felt so tired. But I understand like those days when you have a newborn or you have a baby that doesn't sleep through the night, the days can be really hard and you're really tired. One thing that I really just think about or I do is grab a cup of coffee. It's a great little pick-me-up. But if you don't drink coffee, I find too, like finding a quick cat nap, if it's like 15 minutes, if you can, will do you wonders. Like find time to just lay down and rest as much as you can. I know people say like sleep when the baby sleeps, and sometimes that's so hard to do. For myself, I'm not a huge napper, but I find when I take like 15 to 20 minutes to nap, I feel instantly energized, and it doesn't have to be a long nap, and like set an alarm on your phone or something, but that can really, really help you get through this time. What are some of your favorite things to do these days? Some of my favorite things right now are to just be outside with the kids, and of course it's with the kids because that's who I'm around all the time. But we really like to go and jump on the trampoline. We've been playing with water balloons outside, which has been really fun. And even this morning, we got a chance to go to the zoo, which was great. We haven't been since Brielle was like Kellen's age, so that was really fun. I always love doing things with my kids that bring them joy because it brings me joy, if that makes sense. But if I'm talking about things for myself, I've been working on making over another dollhouse for someone, which has been super fun, and that just brings me so much joy and I love it so much. So that's something that I really love to do these days. Did you or do you suffer from PPD or PPA? So that's postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. After I had Brielle, I didn't really understand what some of the feelings I was having was. Like I know it wasn't like depression, but I definitely had some symptoms of postpartum anxiety with her. For sure, I think as a first-time mom, it's normal to feel anxiety about your baby. But I think even with Kellen, even through my pregnancy with him and after, I was definitely dealing with some depression symptoms. I'm not saying that I've never been diagnosed officially with PPD or PPA, but yeah, there's been seasons where I have not felt well mentally, and I have reached out to get help with that through counseling, and that has been such an amazing experience that I recommend to everyone. Whether you're dealing with depression or anxiety, it's just such an amazing thing to do is to go to counseling. It's awesome. It will help you so much. So yeah, I understand. And to the mom who's going through it, days do get better no matter what season you're in. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm not gonna say that I've completely gone to the end of that tunnel. Some days are still really hard for me, but there are so many things to be thankful for, and that's something that I really, really cling to. I think another thing along with that is I have kind of like this mental checklist that I go through, like, am I doing these certain things that are helping me cope with how I'm doing mentally. And some of those things are going outside, make sure I'm eating well, make sure I'm going to sleep at an early time, getting the rest I need. Just making sure that I'm taking care of myself is a huge thing to help myself mentally. So those are some things that I kind of do to help myself when I'm not having such a good day. What's hard about being a stay-at-home mom? Wow, I feel like that could be an entire video. But some things that are hard, I think, is just feeling isolated. I think that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with being a stay-at-home mom. Even though you're around your kids, you still feel like you're alone because it's different being around children than it is with another adult. And that's why with my husband being home because of COVID was such a special time for us. I felt like the least stressed I have felt in a long time, and it was really, really precious. But basically, yeah, just feeling lonely, I think, is probably one of the biggest things. And I think too, solo parenting is tough, especially when you can't, go to someone else with the situation and kind of get a bit of perspective on it, or, have your husband, your partner help with you. Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders as a stay-at-home parent because you kind of have the load of parenting on your shoulders when your significant other isn't around. So I think that's probably some of the hardest things. There's some pressure there. But at the same time, it's not that it's bad pressure. It just can be hard sometimes to not feel lonely. But with feeling lonely, I'm so thankful for social media and just my phone to be able to connect to other moms who are maybe in the same boat, because we're all going through seasons of loneliness as, being a mom of small kids. It's really important to find some people who you connect with, whether that's online or in person. It's just so important to have some mom friends who can really come alongside you and support you. Have you guys planned out the timing for your next baby? I know it's funny because when you have a baby, people are like, okay, so when's the next one gonna come around? Yes, we've talked about it, me and Luke. We are hoping to have another child in the future. But for right now, we are so content with where we're at. We're not in a rush to get pregnant right now. We are very content with our family of 4. How do you deal with mom shaming? So I've kind of dealt with this a little bit, and I think one thing mom shaming. As moms, all of us are different. We may have similar views on parenting, but some of us may not, and that's okay. But at the same time, there's no reason to shame other people for their choices. And I think too, like, if you see something that's going on that maybe isn't safe, to go to that person in love and respect. Maybe if you have a bit more experience as a mom, and to like help them and come alongside them and not to judge them or to immediately point the finger being like, oh, I would never do that. Or, even verbally saying something to someone that is deconstructive, which is so negative and so awful for that other mom who is definitely just trying to do their best. Because at moms, like, we're all wanting to be the best mom possible. And when we have other people coming in and kind of just critiquing everything we're doing, which can be really tough, and I just feel like it's just not encouraging. And I think for me as a mom, I want to be 100% as encouraging I can to other moms, because again, we may be different on our views of certain aspects or our own personal convictions, but that does not mean we cannot be kind and loving and supportive of other women who are going through the exact same thing as we are. So do I think mom shaming is okay? 100% not. I think it's really, really sad, and I wish it wasn't a thing. Alright guys, so that is where I'm going to end today's mom talk. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope that your question got answered in today's video, and if not, go over to my Instagram and ask me a question, or if there's comments on today's video, make sure you leave a comment down below of something that you're wondering or you need an answer to. I absolutely love answering your motherhood questions, and I would really love to do more of these videos soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you do subscribe, and we'll see you in my next one. Bye!